Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's week two. Week two on the Spaceball bust builds. Yes, I can still say Spaceball bust builds. Over the weekend, I had a thought. Yes, just the one. And, it's the weekend. I like to take it easy. And I sent up the Fink signal. I lit the Fink beacon, and Jeffrey Fink did answer the call. And I said, Jeff, I'd like to come up with something new for the yogurt bust. This is basically what I did. I said, I'm thinking of the mound in the desert with the doors on it. And this is basically what we came up with. Within, a scant few minutes, he had sent me this wonderful STL file, which I have printed a couple of times because I think my printer, I may be somebody out there who knows more about printers than I, which is everybody, can tell me when it's on the screen, it seems to be the correct size, but when I print it, it's like 10% too small. And I'm wondering if there's some magic setting somewhere. I found something called shrinkage under the advanced settings, and I've checked the shrinkage compensators, so maybe that'll fix it. But what I did after the second run is get something that was large enough. This post is the issue. It needs to be 3/4 of an inch wide. But we came up with this, and I've printed it, and tried it out, and I think it's going to be fine. And I think I'm rethinking my idea of the back-to-back-to-back idea display. It takes up more shelf space because you can't line them up on a very shallow shelf. But I happened to notice when I was playing around with these over the weekend that this overlap here is very appealing. And if you look at it from the top, since they all have their right arms out, it makes like a three-armed whirligig there. This joint is very nice. And then I noticed that joint is very nice. Now, the only thing that's a little bit iffy is this joint right here. And I might either knock some of Yogurt's hair off, or I might chip into the back of Lone Star's shoulder. Lone Star's is he's a more obvious workaround because I haven't finished him, whereas I've more or less finished the other two, and I don't want to disrupt them. But putting it on a shelf like this does mean I would have to put it on a rotating base. So maybe I don't glue it down, but I think for the time being that's kind of a nice way to display things. And if you do it this way, then their arms are all going the other direction. But that's kind of where I'm at in my thinking right now. So I'm going to paint this base up. First thing I want to do is paint this up and get it finished. Might go out and get some of that sand textured paint to spray on that. And then we will start on our week's work with Lone Starr. We're ready to start the grand shirt experiment, the grand Gingham experiment. And what I've done is I've cut a bunch of strips of vinyl, and I have laid them horizontally, and I'm going to spray a light coat of the green. I've chosen to use the green rather than the blue. Light coat of the green over top of that. Then we're going to wait for that to dry, peel everything up, and then we're going to do the horizontal or the vertical stripes. Hopefully that should work. If we are in a light enough green, I mean not the color green, but the light enough of a spray, when I do the other, the perpendicular stripes, the areas that overlap should be darker green. They should be the full-on green. At least that's the theory. Okay, this is how Gingham works, or how the pattern works. You have a color that is in this case, it's a 50% transparency of a green. And you have that over top of your white cloth. And when you print this, you paint this, that's what you get. Now you take all that masking off, and then you do the same again. You remask it, and you put it over top, and then that's what your result should be by the time you're done. You have areas that are still completely white, you have areas that are 100% of the green, and then you have areas that are 50% of the green. And it all goes to show you on the question of the transparency of the paint. That's what it is. If I put 100% of a green color down, then there's no place for it to go. It has to be 50% of a green. So it has to be a tint of that green. So that when you, I'll move this back off, when you put it down, it's has some place to go when you put the overlapping color on it. So that's the goal. And we'll see how well it manifests. I have put down the first coat of green over the horizontal stripes. It looks a little maybe too green. I've put in some a darker green on top of it. I don't want to bog it down too much, but I'm thinking I might want to take this light blue and dust over top of that just to help with the ambiguous nature of that color. If I put a little bit of blue on top of it, maybe we'll satisfy both camps here. And then we're going to let it dry, come back, peel everything off, and try the horizontal stripes, the vertical stripes. Now, the idea is this won't, I'm not expecting this to be the be-all, end-all, but if this gets me like 70% there, and all I have to do is touch up and clean up a square here or there, then I think we're going to chalk it up as a success. I don't know if this is going to be, like I said, the complete solution. I'm trying this out in anticipation of using whatever this is. I want to carry this technique over to that haircut of the apes where I've got that really long barber cape, sheet, whatever you want to call it. It's and also John Chambers' shirt is also striped. So this is a test bed and it's a final project. While the stripes on Lone Star's shirt are drying, I'm turning my attention back to the base that I printed. Jeffrey Fink did all of the hard work. I just printed it for the yogurt. Now, I'm doing a little fine tuning because I didn't know exactly how tall that post needed to be. So what I'm doing is I just stacked a few washers on it. And that brings when yogurt sits on it, it brings his height. See, I can put this, let's get this out of the way. I can put this next to Barf here and put yogurt on top of it. And that brings his height to where he's not, the shoulders aren't quite touching here. See, there's a bit of a gap there, which is, well, there, it's on camera, but there's a bit of a gap there, which is what I wanted. So by using just a few washers stacked on top of each other, I was able to fine tune that height. But here we have basically yogurt with some sand and the doors that were led into the side of the sand dune that led to his underground layer, so to speak. I don't know, I got a little bit of schmutz on here from the sand paint that I was using, the texture paint. I'll clean that off. Now, if I remember correctly, that was actually slanted more at an angle, but it gets the point across. So now we have the last stand here with Lone Starr ready to sit on it. And if I put that in place, Lone Starr now he fits under Barf there, which is as intended, and then he fits slightly in the way of yogurt there. And these walls, I don't know how thick they are. If I were to go in there with a grinder, I don't know what I would find. I might have to be ready to patch that if needed. Whereas I know I could take some of this off. But I'm still, because yogurt's done and Lone Star isn't, I am more tempted to take the real estate out of Lone Star's shoulder. See, that's the joint that I think fits together so nicely. So we leave that, and we leave that. But in an attempt to make those nicer, maybe is my penciling device here. Here's my penciling device. If I use my penciling device and I take just a little knock out of that corner, then he'll fit nicer up against yogurt like that. And then this really, I'm sitting it on this turntable. It doesn't have to sit on a turntable. It can go like that with the Winnebago facing outward. As long as we can maintain that angle on his shoulder. See, that works. And that kind of points everybody out. So yeah, I think we're going to take the grinder to Lone Star here. Just take a little bit of that out and be prepared to resculpt it with some epoxy sculpt if we end up chewing into the inside wall. Again, I don't know how thick these walls are because I didn't print it, but that's what we're going to do. Yeah, the news is now we know how thick the walls are. That's not so bad. I chewed a little bit of that out. It's not so bad. I can patch that back up. But now when we put them all together, they spell mother. Now when you put them all together, he does fit nicer up against, he's underneath Barf's shoulder there, but he does fit up nice against yogurt there. So, I'm going to pull out a little bit of maybe the steel stick. Maybe either the steel. I don't want to use epoxy sculpt because it'll take too long to set up. So maybe just a little bit of that steel stick will set up nice and quickly. And a bit of a refresher for those who don't know. Maybe you're just joining us. Don't know what steel stick is. It's a product from JB Weld. It's a 2-part epoxy. You find this at your hardware stores, your big box, your Lowe's, your Home Depots, and the like. I think Walmart even has it. But basically, it's a 2-part epoxy. You cut off a little slice of it, and you knead it between your fingers. And what the nice thing about this is it sets up pretty darn quickly and rock solid. So I'm just going to peel a bit of the tape back there. You mix it till all the two colors are nicely combined. And then I'm just going to key it into that hole there. You have a pretty short working time with it. So you have to know what you're going to do with it while you're kneading it, because you're not going to have a lot of time for second chances here. So I'm just going to push that in against that wall. And you can tool it pretty easily for about 5 minutes. And then it's going to get rock solid. And it paints like a dream. You put any kind of paint over it you want. Come on. Now it does not feather very nicely, so you kind of have to manhandle it. You can take a sanding block to it after you're done. It'll sand up very nicely too. Okay, so what I want to do is get him back in place. Get that out of the way. Make sure everybody here is nice, and then kind of make my divot there, pull you out a little bit so that we have a little bit of gaposis there. There. And it wasn't really that Lone Star was even touching up on yogurt. It's just that I'm trying to maintain that same type of gap that we have between these two figures. I just want a little bit of breathing room between them. Once that sets up, like I said, which will be 2 or 3 minutes, it's pretty quick stuff. I'll pull this tape off. Well, pull some of the tape off, and then we'll get ready to paint the horizontal lines. Sorry, the vertical lines. We've painted the horizontal. We're going to paint the vertical. But that'll give you a nice look at the 3 of these. I think I may want to throw some sand on, and what I mean by sand, I mean the Flurry wash sand on these doors, just to make them a little bit more dingy. So we're halfway home. We've got the horizontal stripes removed. He's looking a bit like an escaped prisoner at this point. So now we too flip this over, and we're going to put the vertical stripes on. Then we're going to paint it again, and hopefully that's going to give us our color, our gingham. So wish me luck on this one. It's spraying, and I forgot to turn the camera on. I've got the horizontal, or the vertical. I did the horizontal before. I've got the vertical stripes in now. Not as many of those as there are horizontal. Only room for really one of them around the neck. So we're going to see how well this goes. I am prepared to scrap it all and repaint if I have to. I'm having a serious play about with this base. I brought it into Cheetah Box because I was wanting to try one more time to make the post wide enough, and I just hit the button that said break apart, and man, it broke all the pieces, separated all the pieces. So I just went nuts. I hope Jeff doesn't mind. I made the doors bigger. I moved the post over to the side a little bit. I made it fatter. I moved the post over to the side so that his sleeve won't hit the edge of it. So we're going to see how much fun and adaptation we can actually do with that. So I'm printing one out now. I'll let you know tomorrow. It's going to take a while, but I'm shutting down for the day. So we'll bring it out tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like. Here is... Let's go ahead and take the tape of this off of this. We'll see how our results are looking. I know the tape was on the arm strictly as protection. So let's go ahead and get that off. It was difficult to paint around. So we're going to get all of this off, and then we're going to take the strips off, and then we're going to see what we're left with. I'm expecting green and white checks. That's what I'm expecting. Okay, yeah, we're basically getting a checkerboard. The dark green that I was hoping for isn't turning out because the paint that I was using wasn't really a transparent paint. It was just me putting a layer on. So we've got that nice checkerboard. I can see where the dark green would be, and I'm tempted to just go in and draw those in, because it would be pretty easy to do. I mean, it would be tedious and mind-numbing, but if I took a tiny brush, and let me see, if I took the darkest green paint that I had, And let's see. I'm going to try this now. It would be where the green overlaps the green. So it would be something like that. I would have to draw them all in and paint them all in. Well, let's see. How tedious is this going to be? And there, and there, there, and there, and there, and there. Well, it's either going to be this or I'm going to wipe it all clean and redo. So let's take a... I'll try it and we'll come back, see how it looks. What do you think? I think as a compromise it's pretty darn good. Now you realize that the scale of this gingham is still about twice as big as it should be in scale. It's about, the checks are about twice as big as they should be. But I'm trying to match what is sculpted, and there are lines and fat and textures sculpted into where that shirt is. So I'm matching those up as best I can, and it is gives the effect of the gingham that I want. It's not as clean as it could be, and I think I will put this away for tonight and come back tomorrow and do a little bit more tightening of the colors, just to see what we've got there. But I wanted to put his head on next to it so that I can get an idea how it was looking around his neck, how it was looking around the collar area. I also cleaned up the brown around the outside as well to tighten that up. So I might put some more variants in there, but I think for right now that's pretty close to how it's going to end up looking. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday and work is continuing on Lone Star today. Now, doing a little bit of research on Bill Pullman to find out the man has heterochromia, which is not as sad as it sounds. Basically, it means his eyes are two different colors. Not completely two different colors, but they're not a solid color. One eye is more blue and the other eye has a big spot of brown in it. Well, I'm not going to try to get that close to perfect on everything, but it does help inform me as to what color I need to be painting the dude's eyes. They are a bluish brown, so easy enough to mix up. Now, I also have to put the 5 o'clock shadow in, and I'm very hesitant about that. I've only done one successful 5 o'clock shadow before, and that was on Jack Burton, my Big Trouble Little China bust or figure that I did of Kurt Russell, and that came out pretty good, but I still maintain that was largely a stroke of luck to get that to work. So we're going to see if lightning will strike twice. I'm actually to the point where I'd rather paint the eyes first and then put the 5 o'clock shadow in, so that'll tell you anything about how I'm feeling about it. I'm looking at the pose, and of course here's the pose. I'm trying to decide which way he should be looking. Should he be looking down at the ring? Should he be looking off to the side like, hey guys, look at this? Or what exactly? So I think I'm going to start with him looking down at the ring, at the Schwartz ring, and we'll go from there. I've got something in my eye right now, and it's I can't concentrate. We used to call them winkers. Maybe it's a stray eyelash or something, but it's causing my eye to water. That's neither here nor there. I'm stalling. So if I am looking at I already forgot where I was. If I'm looking at the ring, then that is where my concentration is. Got the pupils in, now this time without any interruptions from the phone. I've got the pupils in. He's looking at his hand. I'm liking it. The secret is, of course, to move the eyeballs a little bit lower in the socket there so you can see more of the top of him. That gives the idea he's looking down. And now I've got to put the pupils in, and I've got to do a little bit of, I won't say mascara, but I got to do a little bit of dark eyeliner there. And then I think we'll be ready for the 5 o'clock shadow, the dreaded 5 o'clock shadow. Beard is on. The 5 o'clock shadow is on. At this point, it's more like a 9:30 shadow. I think it's a little too heavy. So we're going to see what we can do to knock it back a bit. And we're in that position where this eye works, this eye works. They don't work together. Something is off on. So I think if this eye is going to be tougher to repaint, so we're going to leave it, and we're going to repaint this eye, I think. Which eye do I like better? Do I like that eye? Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. Do I like that eye better, or do I like that eye better? I think the first thing I need to do is brighten up that beard. I think it's a little too much. So we may have to pull out the skin tone and try to brighten that up some. Much better the second time around. Second time around I did not use, well, first time around I used Tamiya Smoke. Bad idea. Don't use that. I went back to the Model Air Black. I was trying to out-clever myself by thinking, well, if it's smoke, I can put it on heavier and it won't be as dark as black. Well, you end up with a really glossy, even look, which is not what you want for a 5 o'clock stubble. So I went in with the black and just sprayed, not evenly. I just went zot, 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 zot until I built it up to the areas that I wanted. But I think that's a much more realistic 5 o'clock shadow, and he looks better in place already. So now I can redo the hair that I had to repaint rebase the whole head, so I can repaint the hair back in, and this will give me the excuse to go back and redo both eyes plus the lips that I need to do, and a touch up on the ears. So yeah, 3 steps backwards, 2 steps forward, I think. But I like that 5 o'clock shadow a whole lot more. Step away from Blown Starr because he's driving me buggy. You get to a stage where you start overworking something and you need to put it down, walk away, come back, see how you feel. This is it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. That type of, all of those cliches come into play because you are you're, on the one hand, you're excited, you're working on something, you're feeling the groove, and on the other hand, you're just digging yourselves a bigger hole. And the first rule of digging a hole is to, when you find yourself into a hole, is to stop digging. So where I'm at is I've retouched all of his hairline. Very happy with that. Very happy with the 5 o'clock shadow. Very happy with the lips. Actually, from about there down, I'm very happy. I like his hair. I like his eyebrows. The eyes I'm going to have to redo, but I knew that was going to happen when I had to respray the 5 o'clock shadow. I like the overall look when he is, when it's on the shoulders. I really like that look. I just need to, as I said, step away from it for a second and go see how the yogurt base is drying. I put a coat of the one that I printed last night. I put a coat of the sand dollar spray over it to give it the right color, and then I put a coat of the textured sand over top of it to give it the right texture. So I just need to go out on the deck and pull him back in and see how it looks. And here is the base. You might see version 1 over here. This is the latest version. Now, Yogurt will sit on it like this, and it sits him down on top, and it fits him underneath. Actually, by the time you spin this guy around like that, he fits in it like that, nice and snug. So I'm going to put a little bit of detail on these doors, and we're going to be ready to call this a done thing. He's not quite sitting on the post the right way, and I think that's my fault because when I redesigned it, or when I chopped it off, I didn't chop it off level. So what I'm going to do is just wrap some tape around that post, make it a little bit more snug, so when he's sitting on there I can do that. But that's pretty much done. That's pretty much the way I wanted it to look. Maybe a little bit of a cheat this way. There we go. We are back to happy. I had to re-white his eyes, but I'm happy with everything else. The skin, the hair, the dirty 5 o'clock shadow, the ears, the forehead. I'm happy with everything except his eyes. So I'm going to take a break, have a late lunch, come back and work on this afternoon. Back from lunch, no big shock. Bojangles! Lunch of Champions. I am going to be adding some of the sand flurry wash to these doors. The Yogurt hideout doors. To fill in some of the cracks and crevasses. Don't think I'll be putting it all over the whole of the base. We're going to see how that dries. Maybe I'll add some to the rest. Again, we'll see how it settles in. But this pretty much finishes up Yogurt. And you want to keep your yogurt fresh, you got to keep it in the refrigerator. But since yogurt is already bacteria, if I'm remembering correctly, it's got all the culture it already needs. There. And that's gonna do it, I think. We'll let this settle. Being very careful, it's top heavy here. I don't want it to spill. Okay. Now we don't have any of the little dinks to go with it. Yes, that's what they were called. They were called the dinks. The dinks, the Jawa stand-ins. There. Okay. Put that back in the water and get back to the fact that we are almost done with Lone Star. Let's move him back out of the way. Let's move Barf out of the way. And we've got Lone Star here. Again, happy with everything that's happening here, except his eyeballs. And I'm thinking of a way around it. I noticed when I had him sitting here like this, that if he's looking that way, it could be fun. Just having him looking out of have him looking to his left. We're going to have to struggle a little bit because the pupils are set in the they're set in the sculpt. Man, I wish there's something about him that It's still bugging me. He needs to have some sort of a level of sweat on him. I don't know if that's a fair assessment to make, but I think that's what he needs. I think what I want to do while I'm thinking about that some more is I need to address this area on his jacket where I had to do the touch-up work yesterday, where I put the stop it, where I put the steel stick. Yeah, that's what it was. Let's see, I painted the brown back over this, but now what I need to do is to paint the black over top of that and then get ready to wipe it back down. This is what I did the first time. Let's get his head off of there so we don't get that caught up. Grab a little bit of paper towel. Shouldn't have been maybe solid black, but a tint of black. Okay, and then wiping it down with a bit of paper towel. And of course the color of brown underneath it makes all the difference in the world. So there we go. Do a little bit more up in here to address that. A little bit more in here. And of course we need to paint the black back under there. There we go. Doing it in little dribs and drabs. Try not to do too much of it all at once. That gets me the black that I'm looking for, or the aged leather that I'm looking for. And I'm very careful, I don't want to get it on his shirt, because I'm very happy with that shirt. There. Fixes that. Maybe the tiniest bit over here just to balance. Threw the paper towel away too soon. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so happy with that. Now I need to get back to the eyeball saga. Now I noticed that when I painted the iris of this eyeball earlier, and this is a tendency I have when I'm not painting a brown eye. When I'm painting a blue or a green eye, I have a tendency to paint them too pale. And they end up looking almost unworldly because of that. So I need to get a blue and a green out, but they need to be darker than I have been doing. So let me get, well, let's see, the blue that I was using is this blue right here. And the green that I was using is this green right here. So those are the two colors. And I've still got my black out here. Then I can darken that down into a dark greenish blue eye. And Okay, there's my greenish blue eye. That's a good basic color. Now I can put flecks of a brighter color in there, but the basic circles are going to be that color. I'm going to move the camera. Hope you don't mind. I can't do this with people staring at me. The pupils are back in, but I have not put the iris, or the irises are back in, but I have not put the pupils in. I went, actually I was trying to make them go off to an angle, but they wanted to be looking straight ahead, so that's how they ended up being. Sometimes you just have to go where the paint wants to go. Okay. We're going to let that sit. We've got time. Folks, it's Wednesday. How you doing? I'm going to make this short because I got an order in from Keith, and I need to start the old vinyl cutter up, so that's going to be making a lot of noise. We are going to probably finish today. I have put the gloss on Barf's eyes and lips, and boy does that make it pop. That just makes it sing. Now, I have not glued his head down. That has yet to be done. On Yogurt, I did his eyes and lips. Makes him pop a little bit more. I don't have to put the highlight in, paint the highlight in, because it automatically puts the highlight in when you put the gloss on it. And even Lone Star. I say that, even Lone Star. I gave up. I'm not going to say I gave up. That's a harsh term. I reconciled myself to the fact that this is not going to look like Bill Pullman, because the sculpt doesn't look like Bill Pullman, and you can't make a sculpt look like something that's not designed to look like. I got a lot of credit this last week for how good Barf looks, and I will say that 85 to 90% of that is the sculpt. Yeah, I'm getting to be a fairly competent painter, but if it's not in the sculpt, you can't make it happen. And it looks perfectly like, well, he looks like Patrick Wilson. He looks like Patrick Wilson. I've tried to make him look as much like Bill Pullman as I can, but I can't pull something out of my nether region that isn't there. So I think it turned out fine. I'm really happy with how those eyes look. I'm really happy with his 5 o'clock shadow. Maybe his lips are a little too glossy. I'll say that Lone Star just licked his lips, because maybe they don't need to be that glossy, but I'll take it. Those are some of probably the best eyes I think I've painted, but those aren't necessarily Bill Pullman's eyes. I'm happy with all of the rest of this. I'm happy with his hand. I'm happy with the base. Again, head not glued down, and that's probably not probably. That's all that remains to be done. So that's what we're going to do next, and then we'll be done. I am not going to. I'm not going to glue them down to their bases, because I like the flexibility of being able to reposition them as needed. This was the pose that I really liked, how the two of those match up just perfectly like that, so that if you put them on a rotating carousel of sorts, they will interlock and take up little space. Let me see, I can turn the Winnebago around. Actually, turning the Winnebago helps me to do the spacing on them the best way. And then we've got Yogurt in here. Now I can fit all of this, I believe, on a 12-inch circle, probably even a 10-inch circle. Let me see if I can. Yes, there's a big grid right here on the stand. If I just use that, I can tell you. Okay, that's fitting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, that's well inside a 10-inch circle. As a matter of fact, I can probably fit it inside of that, which is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's one. I can probably fit it inside this just by twisting that a little bit. I can fit this inside a 1, 2, 3, 4, an 8-inch circle. So that gets everybody nice and tight. But that is the three of them all combined. So what's left to do is to glue their heads down, and I think that's the last thing that I will do, and I'll do that right now. Back from my trip to Walmart, I was hoping to find an 8-inch or even a 9-inch circle plaque in their crafting section. And no joy, there was none. I was also hoping to find a Lazy Susan, another turntable, like I had gotten there before, but they also had ones there, but they were 12-inch, and they weren't the same model as what I had. They were just flat across the top. But I did find these, and I remembered seeing them last time because the idea intrigued me. Now, this is a circular plaque. It's got a scalloped edge on it, which I'm not wild about. You can see the pencil line on there. I think I can easily sand that down. But the neat thing about it is it's got this feature. And if I can get my little fingers around the side here. There. It's got a light up feature, which is nice. Now, yeah, would it be nice if it was cool white? That would be nice, but even the warm white is it's a neat idea. So I'm not mad at that. So I'm thinking what I might do is, what I'm planning on doing, no might about it, is sand these down and then paint the whole thing black with the exception of the light there. Now, true, it does give off a kind of Phantom Zone vibe with the 3 of these characters with the circle of light underneath them. But it does remind me of how I first saw them at Wonderfest with that uplighting on it. Now, it's meant to hang against the wall. So it's only got one box against the back of it. Turn that off. It's got one box against the back. It runs on batteries, nice enough. But the problem is I would have to put some feet under it to make it level. It's like I said, there's a battery box underneath there. It was fairly cheap. You know, less than $10. 5 and change, I think, for the LED rope light in the craft section again. I would have loved it better if it had been a simple circle and not scalloped like that, but we can take care of it. So I think what I'd like to do before I commit to this idea is I think I'm going to run out to the craft store and see if a more specialized craft store would have the exact 8-inch plaque that I was looking for, or maybe another version of the turntable or a combination thereof. So I'm going to run out to the craft store and be back shortly with another progress report. I am back from lunch and running a few errands. Excuse me. And went to the Big Bucks craft store. Did not find an 8-inch circle, but I did find one that's already got the Lazy Susan built into it. And it's already got the thing on it. So I'm thinking, since I have to get the bandsaw out anyway, I would have to get the bandsaw out to cut those scallops off, then I could use this and cut it to the exact size that I want, keep the turntableness of it, and then I won't have the lighting, which I'm kind of having, I won't say I'm having to compromise, but I'm having to make do with that because of the restraint of the size of it. So now I can do this. Now the Lone Star base is outside. I'm putting another, touching up the paint on that. But see, I can use this now and still paint it black and still do all of the stuff that I was going to do with that. But I can, I think I'm liking this solution better. Then I could save this for something else than where the lighting won't be as crowded, because I was noticing that, yes, everything fit inside there, but it did kind of crowd it a bit. So maybe this will be for a singular model or a singular bust that I won't have to worry about. Ooh, that one might be nice on the, not the Haircut of the Apes, but it might be nice on the Maya to have the uplighting on that. So we'll save that lit base for another day. I am going to take the base that I got from the store, and I'm going to take the, see, the nice thing about it, it's already got a center marked out for me. So if I take this base off, I can use that, I can still use that good old, I can use this mark to put it as a pivot point when I am cutting. So let me get the Let me get the old beam compass out. Set it for about the same width as I had it before. Use this line, and this will show me how much I need to cut off. That shows me how much I need to cut off of this. Lovely. I cannot get the saw out today because it's ugly, raining, ugly, and nasty out. But I can get everything ready for the eventuality of it. This was actually, the way this was working was like that, and I can make that sit on top of it. But you get the gist of it. I can turn around and glue this back in here if I wanted. Careful not to glue the ball bearings any. But I can get this cut out and painted, and then we're back on track. It's noon on Thursday, and I'm stuck. I would really like to be finishing this today, but I hate to say it's called on account of weather. I cannot set the bandsaw up on the deck until it dries out or the sun comes up, or at least because it's not something I could quickly move. If it were something, just like a little sander or something, I could quickly set it up, and if it starts to rain or whatever, I can duck back in the house pretty quickly. I can't do that when I have to bring out the bandsaw. And to cut this, I really want to do it with a bandsaw to get a nice even line. Then I want to use the router to round over the edges of it. So I've not given up hope completely on today, but it may end up being later in today before I can actually get to this. I don't want to leave anybody hanging, but I'm also working on an order for Keith, and that's taken some time. So these guys are going to exist like this in their Charlie's Angels pose, as I'm calling it. They're going to exist like that on that circle, beautifully like that. Then I need to, not only do I need to cut that, but I need to paint it. And if I can't, I don't want to paint it before I cut it, because that's just going to end up marking it all, scratching the paint all up and having to be repainted anyway, and that's a waste of time. So I'm kind of in a holding pattern on this. My apologies. I was hoping to maybe get it done yesterday and start on something else this week, but it might end up being into tomorrow before I can finish it. So, mea culpa. Blame it on the rain, as they say. Huzzahs and handsprings, my friends. The sun came out. Went to take a shower, and when I stepped out, the sun was shining. Not that I was outside taking a shower, but I looked out the window after I got out of the shower and noticed that the sun was in fact shining. So I very quickly set up the saw, and I got both of the discs cut out. I even got this one rounded over using the sander and a router to ease over the edge of it. Maybe not perfectly round, but dang close enough for me. Also got the scallops cut off of this. I'll save this one for a later date. Now, because the bottom of it is particle board, I can't round it over in the same way. It wouldn't give me a nice clean edge, but I can take this piece now and put it back where it's supposed to go on top of this, so that I can, if I can just remember what happened to the screw. That's way too small to be the right screw. Here's the right screw. Put that in. And now I have to remember which way the bearings went. I have to get my bearings, as it were. I think it went that way. That makes sense. So we'll screw this back in and see how it sets up. This is a wretched turntable. It's cheaply made. It's horrible in execution, and I would not recommend buying one. Next time you're at Michael's, don't pick it up. I thought it was going to work well. It does not. The fact that it's wooden means the bearings that are underneath it, once they hit the groove where they were tightened, it locks in. It's not great. Going to have to put some sort of gripper on the bottom disc to keep it from moving the whole thing around. But no, it's not a great. Maybe if I put some Velcro or rubber feet on it or something, it will help. But right now, no. It's not a great turntable. It accomplishes the job, but with no style, finesse, or grace. So we're going to paint it anyway, and we're going to finish this job up. Okay, the starry sheet is out, which means only one thing. We are celebrating a finished kit, and here is the trio from Spaceballs. Now we start with our friend Barf.
What are you?
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
We go to Lone Starr.
You listen. On this ship, you're to refer to me as idiot, not you, Captain.
And finally, we finish with the powerful, the wonderful, Yogurt the Magnificent, Yogurt the Wise, Yogurt.
Please, don't make a fuss. I'm just plain yogurt.
And yes, I put a little bit of felt on the bottom of the base to give it some grip. But there you go. Now these are not glued down to the base, which means I can still display them lined up on a shelf if I want to do it that way. But I have to say, I kind of like the way they all fit together. And I'll show you that joint again. They all fit together nicely on this base. I am eagerly anticipating them coming out with the dark helmet. He said that was already in progress. I would love to see a dark helmet figure in this scale, but with the faceplate removable. Either removable or so you could flip it up. Now, I know flipping it up as a mechanism might be tougher to do, so I would settle for something you could just put on and off with a magnet. But I would love to see more figures in this scale. I would love to see a dot matrix. I would love to see a Princess Vespa, of course, because then you could do the three of them with Princess Vespa here, and then you could do dot matrix and Yogurt, and maybe President Scroob would be a nice third one. Or you wanted to do Colonel Sanders. You could. There's just a wide variety. You could do a Spaceball figure. I mean, a random generic Spaceball guy with the ping pong ball helmet. Doesn't have to be Michael Winslow or any identifiable one. You could do a generic Spaceball figure. Maybe the what am I thinking? The Dinks. The Jawa type characters, that's a bit fringe. You don't have to go and do every figure, but you could do a Pizza the Hut, certainly. You could do Vinny. You could do King Roland if you wanted to. But I think getting too far down the list, you're having diminishing returns. But I would very much like to see a dark helmet and at least a Princess Vespa, and then maybe if you've got time, a dot matrix. But there you go. That is the three figures for this week. And those are our three figures for this week. I'm sorry I didn't get them done sooner. It was one of those weird things. We got rained out a day, so I couldn't quite finish it up as quickly as I wanted to. And then I had another. Well, you don't need to hear my excuses. I got it done, and that's the important thing. So next week we're probably going to be back on hardware. Don't know exactly what that'll entail at this point. I do have a couple of really meaty builds coming up in the near future, but before I start the one, I need to do an inventory check to make sure I've got the lighting that I need, or lighting supplies that I need before I crack into that one. So until next week, when we'll be building another model. Y'all be good. Be good to each other. Be safe. Be smart. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy life. Be back next time. Oh, and may the Schwartz be with you.